Within BDSM, there is this idea of fluidity, gender fluidity.
I think it took me a really long time to enter my queerness because I was socialized in America.
I have to say, when I first walked into a BDSM dungeon, I felt so relieved. I felt so relieved that, to be in a space where I knew other people desired the same things. I also felt like my sexual orientation was just freed. Mercy Mistress is based on my memoirs about being a professional dominatrix as well as lifestyle BDSM practitioner in New York City.
I think especially as Asian, femme-presenting people, our bodies actually are in media a lot, but not on our own terms, primarily for white male consumption. It's kind of flipping the script in this really subversive, interesting way to be hey, I'm still a sexual person, but my sexuality is for me and it's defined by my own terms. You have the very submissive, lotus blossomy Chinese woman who's super quiet and super submissive and is always in this very service-oriented role. And then on the other extreme, you have the dragon lady who's ruthless and murdering everyone.
Or the nerdy tech person.
The nerdy tech person. So just Asian side best friend who is side character, hey. I grew up in Minnesota, and so a lot of the narratives that I consumed around queerness were really under a white lens. And so I never identified with it because I never identified with that narrative. I just knew that something was different or off with me, but I used many other different words. And I think that's a very specific experience of being a hyphenated person and a diasporic person.
I grew up with a childhood of violence, where there was domestic violence in my household, but it was basically from my father to my mother. When I was actually starting to explore my sexuality as a young teenager, I had so many dynamics inside of me. I had a lot of sadomasochism that was very self-destructive and very non-consensual. I was seeking out really, really dark and shady situations, putting myself into dangerous situations, as well as putting other people into dangerous situations. One of the things that learning about BDSM protocol did for me was to actually take agency over my desires and to really understand this idea of continuous consent.
Immigrant families from Asia is that their greatest fear is that their children are going to be that we're going to be shunned from society, because that was their greatest fear, that they weren't going to assimilate, that they weren't going to pass, that they were going to be kicked out. And so their greatest fear for us is that we're going to be shunned too, and if that we are different or non-normative in any way, that we're going to receive that. I wish I had seen this when I was growing up. I think my childhood would have made a lot more sense. I think I would have had a blueprint to find myself way faster. With a camera in the room, you already have a power dynamic. Whose lens, whose gaze is behind that camera? How are they looking at it?
We were very interested in having a very diverse group of people so that everyone could have an experience.
That's where power is too. So we crowdfunded $77,000. A lot of the BDSM and leather and kink communities showed up for this. A lot of our queer communities showed up for this.
There's so many layers of possible shame that is still residue on their own sexuality that they can peel away and be able to live more courageously.
If our government can't be brave enough, if our institutions can't be brave enough, it has to be the artists and the storytellers who are brave, who are creating blueprints for the future that we're moving into.